BWone. And we are live. I hesitated there. Welcome, guys, to episode 10 of the weekly. And we are live in location. Actually, we're not. We're just not at home.
Well, you two guys are live at in a location. I mean, we're all live in locations, but you guys are live in an exciting new location for the weekly.
Yes, it is. Well, because today is, and please join us in celebrating and wishing Sam happy birthday.
Yay! Woo! Happy birthday!
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
So yeah, Sam will be turning 52 today, and
I'm a very young. I'm a very young 52.
I kind of want to start using all of those really horrible like Hangout sound effects, like "Yay, happy birthday, Sam!" Oh, he's gonna be turning 52 today. But we don't have to do that. I'll shut it all down. And enough of that.
All right, so let's get the show on the road. Before we do that, we will be celebrating Sam's birthday, so please do wish him happy birthday. He needs all the love you can dish out, so that would be great. And any uselessness for the week before we start, because I couldn't think of one.
I couldn't. What sucks is I remember sitting down and reading a story a couple days ago, thinking, "Oh, this would make a good uselessness," and now I don't remember what it was. So we can skip the negative. Let's jump right into some of the positive because we actually have a lot to cover this week.
Yeah, there's quite a few things. So the first thing that popped up this week, this was from winbeta.org. Talk about the update to the Surface RT line, which is going away, but that line of products, the Surface 2. Will be known as the Surface 3. I hope they just call it the Surface 4, and then they make it the Surface 4 Pro. So Microsoft is moving into a Pro and a regular line. The Pro meaning more of the, what we have with the standard Surface 3, Surface Pro 3, which is your Core i5, solid, high performance on a tablet, and then the Surface 3 is what they're calling it. Is actually the successor to that RT line, which will be running for Windows 10 eventually. But it looks like it will launch with Windows 8.1. Should be announced at either build or right before build. Will be powered by either an Intel Atom processor or Core M. They're looking at Core M for this. And this would be a much thinner, smaller build. Now, a couple of things. And there is that it will be fanless, of course, because it's running either an Atom or Core M. It will be marketed as a non-pro device, so kind of going against the iPad is what they're looking at with this device, and also will be considered a successor to the Surface 2, the RT version, and this will eventually kill off RT in Microsoft.
I'm not eventually about it. The second it's out and the second it's running a full version of Windows, RT is like finally nail in the coffin, properly, completely dead.
Yeah. So thoughts on it, guys?
Go, Sam! It's your birthday. Tell us about the Surface line. It's your birthday.
I think it's a return to normalcy, right? For Windows. For the Surface 2, they came out with a regular Surface 2 and then a Surface 2 Pro, right? So it's really kind of weird that it took them a whole year to come up with something that's not a Pro line for the Surface 3, which is a pretty good seller for Microsoft, as opposed to what the Surface 2 Pro was for them. So basically, I basically say it's expected. It's nothing new. But the fact that they're actually killing the RT line, I didn't expect it to last much longer. They hadn't really done anything with it. I was hoping that they would take RT and turn that into the handset kind of line, and they haven't really done that. They've called that straight on Windows Phone 10. So they're going to keep on calling it Windows Phone. So the RT hasn't really been used. I guess I see no problem with them just doing away with it. It's useless at this point in time, so there's no point in keeping it.
Well, I mean, like I was maybe a little kinder on RT than other people were. It's for me, they need to delineate between a consumer grade product and a professional grade product, and the Surface Pro has Pro in the name. So I'm glad to see that they're continuing this in a way that's a lot less confusing for consumers, because RT never made sense. You know what I mean? It was actually a pretty functional product, and it did its job really well against Android tablets and iOS tablets, though obviously the app situation was horrifically lacking. The interesting thing for me will be to see where they end up positioning this, like with the different processor, the chipsets that are being rumored to use right now. Because if you use a Core M, it's actually going to be a pretty powerful system. And having played with a lot of the Atom processor notebooks, like Lenovo's Yoga and what's the other one? I'm wrapping up a review on the Acer Aspire right now, the Switch 10, and those Atom chipset slates do a remarkably good job of competing against Android Fair and iPads. So that's kind of where I'm curious to see what they end up landing on, because they're sort of the vanguard. It's funny to see Microsoft now sort of leading the way on what Windows 10 hardware should resemble, and I think wherever they end up going is going to dictate where we end up taking a lot of this other stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them go a little more upscale, to leave their manufacturing partners room below. So if we get sort of a Surface Pro 3 that's retail, what does it start, like $700 for like a Core i3?
Yeah.
$799. And then you get like a $599 Surface 3, because it's got like a Core M and it's basically just a little brother. That could be really compelling, because then that leaves a Lenovo plenty of room underneath for like a $300 or $400 Atom processor. It leaves Acer plenty of room underneath for a $299 or $275 Atom power thing underneath. So you can kind of keep the netbook spirit alive under a more upscale, regular consumer grade Surface. And the other thing that I still think I wish we would hear some more news on is what the Nokia team, the former Nokia hardware team, might be doing in there, because I think one of the most successful tablets, for me anyway, was that Lumia 2520, and I would love to see that hardware talent go into producing a Lumia device in this stage, which could also be another really compelling consumer offering in this market too.
Yeah, but I think the thing about the article that definitely stands out is it's coming with Windows 8.1, but then they say it's not going to be fully upgradable to Windows 10. It wouldn't get the full Windows 10 experience. So what does that mean?
Well, we still don't know what the full Windows 10 experience is going to be, and when they can't decide on what the chipset is, like when our rumors are still that raw that we don't know that kind of information, that's where I think why I don't like playing with rumors is because we'll see when it gets here. But what is the full Windows 10 experience that we're likely to capture? I don't understand what that is.
I think
Windows 10 on a phone is just. You don't have a desktop on Windows 10, so is that not the full Windows?
I think that relates to the processor itself. If you look at Windows 10 or Windows experiences, if you're running a Core M and up, you're running a full Windows experience. If you're running an Atom processor, there's certain things you cannot do, and I think that is probably why the rumors are saying.
Right. I understand the delineation. I understand the delineation between a more desktop-grade processor and a more mobile-style processor, but what is that full experience that we're going to be lacking? That's what I'm asking is, on an Atom processor, on an Atom-powered slate right now, I can get the full desktop. I have access to all my legacy software. I can use every single app. I can use every. So is it that they're going to prevent Cortana from working on those? Because that would be a tragically bad idea, to not let you use Cortana on an Atom-powered slate when you can use it on a phone and you can use it on a desktop.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually kind of. I think it's really interesting to see exactly what the limitations turn out to. If it's just a case where you're not going to be having a full Windows desktop unless you buy a dock or something, that might actually make sense. But right now, yeah, you're right. You really don't know exactly what.
And so that's also one of the things I hate about rumors is because we're all playing with the Windows 10 beta, and I've been digging this Windows Insider program that they've been doing, and I still don't know what Windows 10. We still don't know what Windows 10 is going to be like. It's changing with every update that they roll out.
But if it follows closer to the way they have Windows 8.1, we're pretty sure it's going to look very similar to what we have in the current build of Windows 10, right? Because Windows 8's preview, or 8.1's preview, turned out to really be just one step away from gold. They're just it's almost exactly what they need. So they give you a pretty close, a pretty good idea to what to expect. And I think there are things. I think the only thing they really haven't given us a great experience with yet, or should I give us a hands-on experience with it yet, is really the next iteration of Internet Explorer, right? I think we're all waiting to see exactly what that's going to be.
But
Yeah,
Warren just joined us, and I'm sure he's got plenty of opinions on this.
I ain't just
Deal
joking.
with it.
I've been here for 10 minutes dealing with all of
Really?
you talking this rubbish.
5 minutes. 5.
All right. First and foremost, my opinions on this. They're saying it's a Surface 2. This is the problem with rumors. I think one thing kind of leaks out with some good information and some not so great information, and at the end of the day, just very good logical guesses. If you've been working in the industry long enough, you can kind of predict what companies are going to do, as the pace and as time goes on. I've said it for a while that they're going to come out with a different type of Surface, one that's a little bit more compact, that's to compete against the iPad, because that's where the tablet competition is at. Is in that 9.7 inches is the iPad, and around that's that 9 to 10 inch mark is where they're compatible at. They can make a 10-inch tablet or something that's thinner and lighter than the iPad that gives you full Windows support. They're going to do that, and I think that's where they have to compete. This whole not giving the full Windows 10 experience and all that stuff, I highly doubt that's going to exist. The last thing they want to do is gimp anything that they're going to come out with. Most likely, it will be something maybe not as powerful as a Surface Pro that's going to have a 5th generation Intel processor that's going to be, most likely spec refreshed up to the latest versions. But they're going to have whatever this is going to be. It's going to be, I think at the minimum, is going to be a Core M processor-based machine that they're going to put out here. They're going to price it at probably at a point where it is you're paying a little bit more than you would for a tablet, but you're getting more than a tablet experience with it. So which will justify them using this Core M processor inside of it. You're getting more. You're getting a more powerful processor than what you get with the A8s or whatever what are they using? A8 processor, A9 processor inside of the iPads now. You're dealing with full Windows x86, so all of your legacy software will be compatible on top of it. You're going to have a keyboard to go along with it as well too. You're going to get everything you need to take with you on business. There's going to be no compromise, and that's the whole point of Windows 10. So this whole GIMP thing, highly doubt it. I really think it's going to be a Core M-based 10-inch tablet, and God, I hope they bundle it.
You really think it's a 10-inch? I think it's 8.9. I don't think it's 10-inch.
No, I think it's going to be somewhere around the iPad size of screen. It might even be 9.5 or 9 point whatever, but it's going to be in that range because they have to directly compete. Whatever it's going to be that and probably some type of 2K type of display that's going to be on it. They have to compete directly against the iPad, so they can get Retina displays and 9.7 inches, and those are the things they have to answer because you don't want the iPad to come out and say, "Hey, our selling points are against this screen." You want to knock them at every checkbox possible because because the whole reason they think about what they did to the Air. Microsoft essentially smacked Apple in the face with the Surface Pro 3 and eventually made them kind of get rid of the iPad Air and come with these new MacBooks, which are just refresh garbage, but that's what they're doing with it. Think about
doesn't that put the Surface Pro 3 in a very weird position? If you're going to be doing all these upgrades to the regular Surface Pro, then you have to have a refresh of the Pro 3.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to refresh the processor, just like Apple does with the MacBook line, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro. They don't change the design, but every 3 or 4 years, they just refresh processors inside of it and maybe come out with one with a better display. That's what they're going to do with the Surface Pro. The Surface Pro 3 really doesn't need anything else other than let's bump up the processor, let's make the battery life just a little bit better. Maybe let's include some USB-C with the full USB port. That's it. You don't need to drastically change anything, especially since there's probably more people that have invested in the Surface Pro 3 line that don't want to feel like they're going to get screwed if they decide to upgrade everything because they already kind of had this issue going from Surface Pro 2 to 3, where certain things did not work together. Yeah. So you don't want to have that happen. So this is them. We're going to hear them say, hey, here's our new Surface Pro 4, whatever they'll call it. They might even drop the number with the thing. It probably makes sense for them to do that so they're not getting, so they can just go by years instead of going by numbers. Here's our new Surface Pro with an Intel Core i5 processor inside of it. We start off at 128 gigs of RAM on all of our models now, and You know, it
I
has
wish I had 128 gigs of RAM.
it has 128 RAMs. I got half of that in my machine, so we're close. 128 gigabytes, 128
and it cost
gigabytes,
$17,000.
Yeah.
$17,000. But they're gonna come up with that, and then they're gonna come again with whatever the small one that competes against the iPad.
Okay.
That's their two-tiered system.
All right, cool. We spent some time on that topic. Let's move on to something else. This we kind of covered last week, so I just want to get your thoughts quickly on this, Juan. Samsung officially announced the launch dates for the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, which is April 10th, which is the same day our good friends at HTC are launching the HTC One M9. So last week we considered this a smackdown in one person's favor, and we all know who that is, Samsung. What do you think is going to happen that day with both devices launching at the same time?
Well, for a lot of the carriers, aren't you able to get your order in now? It's not even really a pre-order. It should be shipping on AT&T.
The M9 is shipping early for AT&T and Sprint. S6 is not.
Right. So here's
You can
what
order
I'm
it
pretty
now,
sure.
though. You can order it now.
Yeah, you can pre-order it, but you can.
Right. So here's what I'm pretty sure will happen, and I don't I'd be curious just to because I know you guys already talked about it, but I'm pretty sure the Galaxy S6 is going to destroy the M9. I think the design language of the S6 and some of the new features on the S6, while that's not really a product completely designed for me, are going to appeal to a lot of people in the Android ecosystem who maybe are a little more fashion conscious or are looking at Apple's style and Samsung features. I don't know. I mean, because you guys know I'm a big fan of HTC and how I like how they build out flagships, but I'm not entirely sure that their strategy on the M9 is going to prove as successful as I'm hoping, as I think they're hoping it will be, because I'm not seeing the same sort of buzz or desire. Like Apple can get away with TikTok smartphones, and I'm not sure HTC can. When you've got M8 owners who don't necessarily feel like the upgrade to the M9 is a must-have. But I know Galaxy S5 owners who are looking at the S6 going, that could be really cool. So that's a sticky situation for HTC to be in while they're just trying to get their company out of the doldrums. And I think it's really telling that this is actually what I'm actually really excited for HTC, is that their new CEO is talking up diversification. The new CEO is talking about other avenues that HTC can explore to become a profitable and successful company. And I'm really curious to see what the Revive is going to be like, VR headsets, where else they can expand their portfolio. Because I think it's companies like HTC that are going to feel the burn of the plateauing smartphone market first. Samsung's going to have a ton of momentum behind them. Apple's going to have a ton of momentum behind them. LG is still growing in this sector, and it's still one of the fastest growing Android brands. But we're all sort of reaching the same peak. We're all sort of reaching the same plateau. And I think HTC is probably going to be putting less and less emphasis behind their flagship line of smartphones, while they're also trying to court consumers in a number of other avenues. And I think that's a smart move for them.
I would agree with you to a certain extent, except once I spoke to Sam since he saw the M9 at MWC as well as Alex, and their reaction, Sam could probably jump on that, their reaction to M9 didn't feel like that plateau was even getting close. It almost felt like HTC let them down. We were talking about this plateau with smartphones, and the reaction to the S6 is okay, wow, you guys are trying to put a lot in there, and then to the M9, it's like, what the hell did you do?
Well, but I mean, also think about it, it's a little different once we start getting our hands on these things. I mean, we were all very, not critical, but we were very apprehensive about the S6 on first impression from the press release. It's, it doesn't have a removable back, and I can't swap the battery, and there's no SD card upgrade. And now we're hearing a bunch of people coming out like, oh my God, the performance is so amazing, and the camera is great. It's a very different experience from when you actually get to play with these things. And I want to be careful about, HTC let me down. I mean, they make smartphones. What impact on your life were you really expecting them to have?
It's on the upgrade. Like, I mean, if you're going to upgrade something.
But also, I mean, like, if you're upgrading from an M7, I think it makes perfect sense if you want to keep boom sound speakers that you can jump to the M9. I think that's a reasonable upgrade, and I think a lot of people who are in that boat will probably make that jump if they want to stick with front-facing stereo speakers. It's a question of, can we encourage people to drop their phone after a year, which I often try and recommend for my audience, and I think you guys would agree in part, that unless you absolutely define your tech existence by being on the very bleeding edge, that's not always the smartest investment. Flipping phones every year. Because you're going to get caught up in this feeling that I think a lot of HTC critical people are getting into. Oh, they're not doing enough for me. They're letting me down. Well, of course, if you're coming from an M8 to an M9, that's not going to feel like a radical upgrade. But also, if you're coming from a Galaxy S5 and going to a Galaxy S6, you're trading a lot of stuff. You're trading smoother performance and a better camera for a removable backplate, a swappable battery, waterproofed port covers, and micro SD card storage. So it's not a perfect upgrade. It's not a one-to-one. It's not a linear upgrade. It's, you traded some stuff for that so that Samsung could keep their profit margins in place. So that's kind of where I get a little spiky about, you know, defining it emotionally like that. Oh, they let me down.
All right.
Well, like from a perspective, letdown, which I totally agree with what you're saying, and I'm a big advocate for people basically, you know, to basically end this yearly almost.
Well, and I come from a family where we buy cars and we run them into the ground. You know, like, you know, it's like we want to eke out every smushed penny of worth that we can get out of a purchase.
But I think the letdown comes when you start looking like 5 to 10 years in the future. Where is HTC going to be as a handset manufacturer if it hasn't started, you know, experimenting with things like heart rate monitors, if it hasn't started experimenting with things like fingerprint scanners, if it hasn't started experimenting with things like, you know, curved screens? Where is HTC going to be? And the answer is they're going to be irrelevant. You know, the Android market is definitely bigger than it used to be. But losing a company like HTC, which I think is very possible in the next few years, if they don't catch up, becomes a big problem because.
Well, I mean, let's not forget though that HTC is responsible for most of the experimental hardware designs that we've seen over the last 10 years. So trying to extrapolate where
HTC
they go from
Android relevant. That's the truth.
I'm saying let's take this all the way back to Windows Mobile. We would not have the same notion of software customization if it weren't for HTC moving from TouchFlow to Sense. We would not have designs like sideways slider keyboards. You know, we would not have front-facing speakers in the same way that we have them today. They were the first company that I can think of that flirted with dual camera designs for 3D and for depth sensing photos and videos. I believe they were the first Android manufacturer to use optical image stabilization hardware on the camera. There are so many things that HTC has played with in this space and has experimented with in this space that the fact that they didn't jump on board, they were the second Android manufacturer to play with fingerprint scanners. That if they're just because they're not flirting with putting a heart rate sensor on a phone doesn't mean to me that moving from the M8 to the M9, that in 10 years they're going to be irrelevant as hardware manufacturers.
I think Sam, to clarify what he's trying to say is more, no, HTC's done a lot on Android. HTC adds a lot of things. The problem, like even you know quite well, is HTC every year starts, stops, ditches, starts a new thing, and that whole idea of being lost as a company.
And that I totally agree with, and that's kind of what I'm hoping. And this is kind of takes me back, and this is the end of the point I was going to make in replying to Sam, and it takes me back to my point about their new CEO, is that if I were a hardware manufacturer today, and I could see what kind of phone experience you can pick up for $50 or $60 on a Nokia Lumia 635, if I could look at the kind of smartphone experience you can get on an Android One handset, and I'm trying to extrapolate a business model that's going to take me 10 years into the future, I'm not worried about HTC becoming irrelevant. I'm worried about flagship smartphones in general becoming irrelevant. as we start moving more screens to cars, more screens to sunglasses, screens from our wrist up to eye level, better audio, we all become sort of walking personal area networks. There's far less reason for me to have, say, a phablet if I can move data seamlessly between multiple screens and multiple devices, and I don't have to worry about always just holding this phone up in front of my face and blocking the world around me. I'm looking at HoloLens and saying, you know what? There's a lot about that that's going to decimate the smartphone market when I don't have to get my turn-by-turn directions from my phone. You know, so what I'm more excited about for HTC is someone who can actually lead them into that kind of vision for the future, not is the upgrade from the M8 to the M9 going to be good enough or worth it for the monies. That's I'm less concerned with, because we know Samsung's going to win this round. We know it.
Yeah.
We know it.
Okay.
It's whether or not HTC can remain profitable.
Let's move forward here, and we spend some more time on this too. But I want to get just your quick thoughts on this. It's very quick. Let's try to make this quick. T-Mobile is offering a free year of Netflix, which is very good because, you know, 2 people on here have put me now on Deep Space Nine, started season 1. That's Warren and Juan. So it's going to take me a while to catch up. So Warren, your thoughts, just quickly. Let's start off with you. Like, you know, if you pre-order the Galaxy S6 or S6 Edge on T-Mobile, you get a free year of Netflix. Thoughts on that?
Interesting deal. I wonder if that applies to new Netflix customers or existing Netflix customers. That'd be one question I would definitely take a look at. But it's good to see that they're offering something there. It's interesting because that still brings up the question. I mean, I'm assuming it's just a good deal. Do you get this data count against you if you're using Netflix on T-Mobile at this point? I'm assuming.
No, that doesn't fall into that. This is just strictly a you get a free year of Netflix deal. That I know. The one thing I know with the data thing, when it pertains to streaming music, T-Mobile CEO at the event 2 weeks ago said that he thinks it's going to fly, which makes me think that whole streaming music deal they have has some monetary value.
Yeah. Well, they're still filing through what the FCC has filed, so they're trying to figure out what the legalities of that are. So it could be months to a year from now before we finally hear that and all this stuff.
It could be a couple years from now.
Yes,
well, I don't think this. I think that the way the mobile market is, they would have changed this to something other new promotion by the time they even get a decision on if the last promotion was anything legal or not. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. But I guess it's another differentiator. I don't know who the hell's watching movies on the S6. It'd make a lot more sense if this was on a phablet, more so than it would be on a phone with a 5-inch display.
Yeah, but the subscription you have to stay on your phone, does it?
Is it what?
The subscription doesn't really work on your phone.
No, I mean, you can still watch it on
It's a gateway.
I know, I understand that, but you're a mobile company, essentially you're thinking someone's going to, install Netflix on their S6 or install it there, maybe at the store when they're getting set up to get their 1 year or something. So
I think the story is more about Netflix at the end of the day. What kind of deal did they have to make? Did Netflix have to make? Did Netflix have to remit any cash or any kinds of options? Or what did Netflix have to do to actually push this? Because at the end of the day, it's very, very clear that Netflix is using this as a gateway. There's no way you're going to have Netflix for a whole year, and not get hooked on House of Cards Season 1, House of Cards Season 2, or Season 3. If you're into weird horror on like Hemlock Grove or on some of the new shows, they have so many things you're offering right now that it is so worth it for them to just give it away with the purchase for a year. And then you say, okay, let's just watch the subscription base increase at the end of that year.
Well, I just think it makes sense for Netflix to be partnering with something that's already probably going to sell really well. I mean, we saw that initial partnership between Google and Netflix with the Chromecast, and whether or not we, because I kind of look at like the idea of throwing this on a Galaxy means that you're far more likely to also engage with other sort of screen sharing services. So you got a year of Netflix on your Galaxy S6, and you can throw that up to a Chromecast. You can move it to, you can use it to control your Xbox. I mean, however you want to engage with the service, but you got it. So now you've got this service, and whether or not you're really watching content from your phone. I'm actually starting to see more of it. It's still not very common. It's still pretty rare, but maybe you're traveling a lot and you don't want to have to lug around a laptop or a tablet, and if you need to, you can knock out an episode of House of Cards from your phone screen in your hotel room on your free Netflix. So I just think it's kind of cool to see a carrier partnering with services that are data intensive, first of all, because that's also kind of like going hand in hand with their rollover data, because if you're using Netflix on your phone and you're trying to do that on T-Mobile's network, you're going to chew through some of that data. But it's also just nice to see a supplier of bandwidth not trying to mess up a service like Netflix. Because, Verizon had so many video streaming services, and they were behind Redbox, and there were so many other tie-ins for that company that to see the idea that they would partner with Netflix seems like anathema to Verizon's business model.
All right, cool. Next up, quick one from Bloomberg. Apple is going to...
You know what? We do have like 2 Q&As right here from Wayne.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. What do you think about Microsoft allowing Android apps to be installed on Windows Phone?
I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, it doesn't seem to help any manufacturer that's done it in the past. No one's talking about BlackBerry because you can install Android apps on BlackBerry. So.
From what I'm reading though, I don't think it's necessarily you install it. I think it's really a way for them to just get developers to port the app.
That's what I felt too. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, if you just put in Android emulation, I think you're going to be in an actionable position, and Google could probably come after you. But if you go to a developer and say, hey, if you just tweak this one little piece right here, then that's all you need to do to submit an app for Windows Phone. Do it. That'd be awesome. That's fine by me.
Yeah, if it's that way, I believe. Warren, anything?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something to get people to just, I guess, add apps to the store, sure. But anything you can do to, I guess, get more apps in the Windows Store, especially more, current ones, and get them catching up with iOS and Android on that platform, be pretty good.
Okay. Lou Rod says, welcome back, Juan. Long time, no hands.
Rod, what up, buddy?
And in my Uncle Luke voice, Sam, it's your birthday.
Oh, Uncle Luke, come on, man, get a little modern. You got to say that's got to be 2 Chainz.
Yeah.
And then lastly from Wayne Glasgow, from all the reviews on the M9, I have seen a few upgrades to the M8. The only thing you're missing out on is the new processor, and you save money. Zen 7 with all the features will eventually come to the M8. Even the camera I'm seeing performs better on the M8. I don't know about performs better. I just think it performs different.
Yeah.
I think the two cameras have strengths and weaknesses.
We'll see where reviews drop.
When reviews drop, and we got to remember a lot of these phones get an international review, and then a little bit later, when it finally comes to America, we finally get ones, reviewers get stuff that's branded to the United States.
Well, those first reviews
performance can be very different, and a lot of the first reviews of the M9 seem a bit rushed. I would say.
They're totally rushed.
And it doesn't seem like they spent as much time as they probably should have.
You guys caught the story though that most of the reviews came out before HTC's first little OTA, which apparently fixed up camera performance significantly. So we've got a whole, and this is the thing that bothers me, especially the way that companies do their PR, is why do that? Why put your phone out there to get roughed up if you know in the pipeline that there's an OTA that's going to address some of those issues?
Well, a lot of times it's mentioned to reviewers and press when they get embargoes that there could be updates that will roll down and out. This happened with the Nexus, don't forget, as well, too. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of reviewers that just quite simply don't care about that. I mean, they're just going to get the news out because they want to be firsties. That's what they want to be.
The other question is the update actually.
Only one site mentioned that, and I believe that was Michael Fisher from Pocket Now that mentioned that an update came through, that it changed some camera performance. I think he did, and I think I'm vaguely thinking another website I'm thinking of did mention that as well too. Might have been Mobile Geeks as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think
not the Verge. The Verge didn't mention it. That's odd. You'd think that they would be really on top of being, disclosure and
fair and balanced.
They are the kings of it. Leads.
we just made the leap to comparing The Verge to Fox News for tech.
Oh
That's
God!
awesome.
All right, let's go back
should
to
move
that
on.
Foxconn debate.
It's fairly similar.
Apple has struck a deal with Foxconn to buy and sell used iPhones in China, and it seems because of the high demand of iPhones, they've been buying either from different markets and selling it in China. Any thoughts on this? What do you think? Is Apple's positioning here? Start off with you, Warren.
I think this is simple, and I think we're all going to say the same thing, so we don't need a lot of spend of time on this. It's to boost that push that they got when they launched the iPhone initially. They got all the people that can afford it in China to get the original iPhone. Now let's get all the other people that can't necessarily buy a brand new one but can get a used one that we can make some money off of instead of it just sitting in our warehouse not doing a damn thing. So it's good that they're pushing this. It's going to get more penetration in the market. They got to attack China hard because you got to remember that's a market that Android led and Windows Phone led for a very, very long time that they didn't really have much of an existence in. And now that they can get in there, you got to hit them high and you got to hit them low. So I think it's a no-brainer that they're doing this.
The thing that I'm kind of curious about, and I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on this, is Foxconn going to become the next HTC or LG?
Probably not.
It makes sense for them to be the next HTC. It does.
But they make for a lot of people though, because it's not just Apple. That's Apple. That's Dell as well too.
Right, but they made that very public play in being the hardware manufacturer behind the Nokia license.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like,
because the story wasn't a Nokia tablet's coming out that runs Android. It's a Nokia tablet is coming out that runs Android, and it looks exactly like an iPad because it was built by Foxconn.
I mean, I don't see HTC has a little bit of a stronger. I think had a little bit of a stronger name when they were coming out, and before they kind of came out, and put themselves face first in there. Foxconn, for what I know, I think they've only built an iPhone. I don't think they've actually built any other smartphone or tablet devices. I think that a couple of Dells, I think they might have did, and that's.
But that's kind of what I mean. Is they're responsible for building out iDevices. They're now getting into the business of selling iDevices directly, so they're going to be resellers of used iPhones. But
I think that's just because they're in that market. They're in.
Oh,
that
I know.
Space.
But that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean, though. And now they're starting to license other brands, which is what HTC was doing. They were the ODM behind like AudioVox and Sanyo and all of those other companies, which means extrapolate that another 5 years from where HTC was at this point. Does Foxconn sort of have the ability to roll away with that? Because is Apple going to fight Foxconn? Apple didn't fight Foxconn on the Nokia tablet. I mean, you were talking about a company that actually had I think in my opinion, actually had a legitimate IP dispute with a tablet that looks exactly like an iPad coming out with Android and with a Nokia badge.
Let us send 10 million and they'll care. Yeah, let us send 10 million and they'll care.
Or maybe this play is actually Apple's way of diverting them from that eventuality. You know, if they're allowed
don't stray from this, and we'll let you sell.
Like, see how much money you make by selling secondhand iPhones or iDevices
instead of building out your own. That's actually kind of smart. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, I think it's more of a. Like I said, I think it's more of a play to just get those in the market. Foxconn's just there, to physically there. It just makes it a lot easier. For them to go on their own would take a lot for that to kind of work out for them, and it would just be quite a bit. It would be a daunting task. It wasn't. If they were coming out at the same time HTC was when they decided to put their names in front of phones that they were already making, then it would be. Remember, HTC was making the Titan II, the XV6800. It was just getting branded by different carriers, but they were the ones designing and making the phone. This Foxconn's not doing it. Foxconn gets a design sheet and gets told to do this. You know,
right? But HTC started by just getting a design sheet and then moving into designing their own gear, and that's where Foxconn is now. Foxconn designed their own tablet to run Android.
And I think the problem for Apple would be you giving Foxconn quite a lot of information about how to design your iDevice. It is definitely going to be some crossover if they decide to build it. So I think it's really worthwhile for Apple to be like, we'll give you a pretty substantial markets. Just
Right.
sell these iDevices, the secondhand iDevices. I don't know if it's an exclusive deal for them, but if it is, then that makes a lot of sense. We'll give you this license, and you guys can do whatever, and just don't make your own device. And I think that's probably the smartest thing to have to do.
Moving on here, since we spent some more time on that, I'm going to combine this with a question here from viewer Peter. Peter says, do you think the LG G4, the Sony Xperia Z4, will compete against the S6 and the HTC M9? Now, rumors are the G4 will be launching late April, which is kind of close to what they did last year, so that's on par. My thoughts here quickly, I think the G4, yes, will compete with the S6 to a good degree. Sony, no. HTC, forget it. Next person.
LG, yes, they have a brand. They dropped the Optimus name and just went with the G brand, and now the G brand is something. So they're gonna go with that, and it's going to sell for them. And they're in a different product time and cycle. They're putting themselves in a different position. They compete against them directly, against those brands directly, but at a different way of doing it. They found an alternative way of doing it and be successful. Sony, who cares? They're gonna get sold by somebody else, anyways. The one M9, probably not. It's not going to compete. It's going to be the S6 and that probably going into this year. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. I'll
No,
say
go
my
ahead.
quickly.
Go ahead.
I think we're gonna see Samsung Galaxy S6 on top. I think we're gonna see LG G4 in a more distant second. I think M9 is probably gonna come in third. Or it depends on whether or not Motorola has a strong showing this year with Lenovo. And then I think Motorola could possibly upset, but I think it's pretty likely that Sony's going to be bringing in the rear on this one.
Another quick rumor to address here. What are your thoughts on the rumors of Samsung buying AMD? And what would this mean? Because this rumor surfaced late yesterday, I believe, that Samsung was looking to buy AMD. Of course, just before its processing. I don't know why, but considering the chipsets, the idea for not idea, sorry. What do you call the chipsets in smartphones again? I know x86 is your processor.
ARM.
ARM. A lot of the current ARM technology started at AMD, and they sold a lot of that stuff up. So, do you think it's a wise play? Just quickly, if you can summarize that.
This sounds like more of a play into boosting their laptops and tablets, possibly with AMD processors, AMD graphics, getting a tighter tie-in maybe to those things. Other than that, I really wouldn't see any other reason why they would buy it.
Yeah, I mean, like Samsung already has tremendous talent for building out mobile processors. Like Exynos is a solid chipset.
I would think Windows 10 based stuff maybe, but
yeah, I kind of feel like this is maybe more of a play for other devices that, I mean, not phones and tablets, but
yeah,
possibly even if they have an automobile strategy, if they've got
maybe some TVs. Maybe
I was going to say expanding their TV lineup and stuff like that. I think that's
Because
probably
AMD
where they
is
could
the
look at.
ATI technology, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying, is especially looking at ATI and graphics chipsets.
I mean, the only play that this would get them into is in the best would be in the console gaming market, because they all use AMD. So this would get them in inroads a little bit into that to maybe possibly.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Possibly get some tie-ins with TVs, and I mean that's about the only thing.
It makes a lot of sense, because it would make a lot of sense if you look at it exactly the way you just mentioned it. Samsung more and more with VR, they're getting into the gaming space. They get into the immersive space. Now, if you really want to take that graphic to the next level, if you want to basically out HTC a HTC and make your VR as immersive as possible, start looking at guys who actually know how to do graphics right. And ATI was the biggest competitor to NVIDIA for the longest time, and still is. So who owns that? AMD. Go for it. So it makes sense. It makes sense if you're trying to break into a totally different market than the mobile market right now. It does make sense if you really want to make a big expansion. So, yep, good idea.
All right.
Oh, your mic's still off, I think.
Yeah.
We were hearing you off of Sam's mic. That's awesome.
Sam, mute your mic. Please mute your mic.
I am muting my mic right now.
In terms of gaming, this one is big, but also very expected. Nintendo just announced yesterday that Zelda has been pushed away from 2015. Didn't say when. Didn't say early 2016. They said pushed away from 2015.
Which means
We know this
February
is
2016. That's what that means. They only released Zelda in 2 damn spaces. It's either November or February. So this is coming out in February. Screw them. This is the only game anybody was looking forward to. Damn it. I usually don't get.
will this move to
I don't have
Code
anything else to
X
say other than
console?
I'm with Warren on that.
I'm usually not mad about games being pushed out, but for Nintendo to take 5 damn years to make a Zelda, screw you on this one. This should be kind of done already. This should be very, very close to done already. Which means, are they even going to have a playable build at E3? I mean, I hope they do, but it doesn't sound like they're going to because they're making something new and expansive, which means if I got to put a VR headset to play this damn thing, I'm going to be pissed.
Okay, all right. So
I think that sums it up. I think we can move on.
that is pretty much it. And thank you very much for summing that up. So let's move to entertainment.
Whoa! You're not done with gaming yet. What about the handless gamer that kills it illegal?
Oh yeah. Sorry. We just went through a lot of stuff here. So Razer actually, we'll share the link for you guys. Razer actually did a little documentary on a gamer who's handless. So basically, he was born without limbs and I think one leg, and he dominates on League of Legends, which is incredible because I barely dominate on any game in general. So definitely share and check it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, if you've seen it.
I saw a quick little look at the story. It's always cool to hear these type of things when people with disabilities of any sort of kind find a way to persevere over and sometimes thrive better than people that are fully capable, and that's always good stories to hear that, and especially in the gaming world where we're all just fighting each other as virtual avatars, and for somebody that's disabled to still be able to get in a game and still use 2 hands, 2 feet, and kick everyone else's ass in the same way someone else can is always awesome to hear.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me, there's a part of a documentary on WoW addiction, but part of the documentary focuses on some people that are, not capable in some way. And he's like, I'm able to compete, I'm able to play, and no one treats me weird or no one looks at me funny, and everyone just sort of assumes that I'm a regular dude just like you. So whenever you kind of get something like that where it's a really empowering message of, this is one of the cool things about gaming. This is one of the things that we can celebrate about gaming. And so it's always nice to catch another story where, like gamers aren't portrayed as evil trolls living in their mother's basements.
Yeah.
With neck beards.
I would just say that coming from an MMO kind of gaming standpoint, it's really, really cool. I'm really happy that people are now beginning to pay attention to this subset of gamers that aren't the traditional idea of what a gamer is. People normally look at gamers as this techie, a little awkward, but people forget that gaming is an escape. Much like people do in the movie theaters, much like people put on a DVD or a Blu-ray disc. People forget that gaming is exactly just that. It's an immersive escape, and to basically highlight the fact that this guy, despite his different ableness, is being able to experience a world that a fully what we would consider normal person is experiencing. It speaks volumes. It's the great equalizer when it comes to just enjoyment and entertainment. It is the greatest equalizer because he's found a way to experience his virtual world to the fullest ability, simply the same way like someone who's totally 100% able can do it. And I think this is a very uplifting story. If you ever play, for not just for gaming, but for entertainment in general, for basically human interaction. You look at stuff like MMOs where you find, this is really what blew me away, especially with the whole interaction between human beings when it comes to virtual worlds. It's playing an MMO and finding out that you're playing with an army veteran who is being through some really, really crazy stuff. And he opens up and he's talking to guild members about it, and you're like, how is this guy actually sitting down and enjoying a video game? Like, if this was me, I'll be in a mental ward somewhere screaming my mind out, you know? And people just forget that there's so many different people out there that use game as this amazing escape. And I think this, like what Razor did here, was just highlights something that they should continually be highlighted. That people should understand that gaming isn't just this, this bout of violence that everybody used to escape their real life. No, it is something that people also use to experience normalcy. To experience that great escape. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool endeavor.
Gaming is the ultimate even playing field. It does not matter if you're black, white, male or female, abled or disabled. That platform is even, and everyone has a same exact start. Everyone has the same exact start, and it just depends how good you get at it, and it doesn't matter who you are.
Yep.
Nothing else can say that.
That is very true. Now, moving from one form of entertainment to another, Juan, could you please cue up some of those entertainment slides?
Yeah, here, let me, well, maybe. We'll see. All right, everyone
I have them up here. Just
pray to the gods of Time Warner.
All right, let's start off with the first one with Lex Luthor Reavl. What was this? Entertainment Weekly shared an image of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. So if you guys have seen that,
yeah.
That's an image of him. Even though that's covered in some text, which I think somebody did make up. But what are your thoughts of Eisenberg as Lex, as we just kind of run through entertainment here? At least what you see so far. Start off with you, Warren, since you're about to say something.
It's just funny. The first thing is, why is his head so long? I think it's actually a good picture. It's depicting Lex a bit different, I think, than we've seen him in the past. We've seen so many different looks and shades of what Lex Luthor is, and I think this is a interesting way. He looks like basically an escaped convict. He's pretty much a goatee away from Breaking Bad. But
which is funny considering all the rumors we had for Cranston before we ended up with younger Lex.
Yeah, but I think this is them. We're already entertaining. We're going dark here, so here's Dark Lex, and I think he's gonna be. I think they're gonna kill off his more debonair style, and he's gonna be a little more. Seems to be a little more of a ruthless guy, like a little more action-oriented ruthless guy than I think we've seen in the past.
Well, and Eisenberg is a perfect person to cast for a foil to Superman who is based on his intelligence and his drive and his megalomania. And I think that'll be. I think it's a really smart casting, especially for a slightly younger portrayal of Lex Luthor as being something of an intelligent outsider or an outcast who now has to face uber humans, where he used to just get picked on by regular jocks.
Sam?
It's kind of weird because the only thing I can keep thinking about is, well, if Elon Musk is Iron Man, does that mean that Mark Zuckerberg is Lex? Should we be scared of him? Mark, do not shave your head, please. This would scare everyone. Nah, it's the whole idea that we have the same character. I think it flows well, right? He portrayed one of the smartest guys that we know of right now in American industry, Mark Zuckerberg, and now you're bringing him over. He's playing this crazy. Almost genius, like evil genius character. I think it was a great choice in characters. I don't think you can get any better than this. But the look, very reminiscent of the Batman Superman era Lex, right? Only that basically face-wise, but I don't think he's going to be as buff as that version of Lex. So it's an interesting look.
No, this looks like he's going to be still a really ruthless guy, but very, very smart in the same way. But not going to have that debonair about him, that we got out of the Christopher Reeve Supermans.
And Gene Hackman was a mustache-twirling, melodramatic villain. Nothing about this new DC universe is gonna play ball with that. Even trying to go back to like the Kevin Spacey portrayal, I think we're gonna get a darker version of the Lex we got from the animated series.
I'm feeling when I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, like, is he gonna go for Heath Ledger Joker dark? Yeah,
Well, it's Christopher Nolan. I mean, as a producer, I mean, that's kind of where this whole franchise is going. That's the lessons they learned off of The Dark Knight was to push
But I think
it.
a question here, I think, should be asked, right? It's simply this. You see his eyes, you see the way he, like, because when I originally saw this was in black and white, so to me he still looked a little sick. So is this the Lex before the suit, right before the suit? Or is this just like a regular normal Lex? Because that's a very interesting question we have to ask, right?
Well,
If
what
this is the Lex right before the suit? Maybe Superman is it is basically, this is the point where he decides, you know what? I'm just as smart as anyone else in the world. Maybe it's about time I basically have powers, like this crazy super gods on Earth, you know?
Let's not turn him into Syndrome.
Hey.
But I mean, what I'm hoping is whatever it gets portrayed as, that they do this in the movie where he's a bad guy, but in the end of the day, you want to cheer for Superman to punch the shit out of him. I don't want it to be like Dark Knight where you were just rooting for Joker majority of the damn time, and you really like seeing Batman was a bit of a disappointment. It's like, oh, the fun's over now. Here comes Batman to squash this.
I'd kind of be on board for a Lex that leaves an audience a little torn. You know,
Yep.
a Lex that has a point to make about, you know, are we humans in charge of our own destiny? Are we going to let, you know, aliens and superpowered creatures control what's happening for us? And then maybe he just takes that commentary too far in hurting other people. I think that a Lex that plays way more into that gray area could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I
according
agree with
to
that
Zack
100%.
Schneider, a quote from him in the magazine, he says, other than him being a captain of the industry and one person to the world and another person to himself, and bald, of course, our Lex is disarming. He is not fake. He says what he believes and he says what is on his mind. If you can unravel the strings and decipher what he means, it's all there.
Oh shit! Know what that means? Know what that means? This is Kanye West. It's gonna be Kanye West. It's gonna be Kanye West.
Lex Luthor doesn't care about black people.
Oh my God, Kanye West.
So Lex is
Kanye
gonna
West
be
should be in
ruthless.
Superman now. He'd be the greatest villain.
Another quick rumor from the movie set was also the fact that the first fight or tussle between Batman and Superman will be started by Superman. He actually goes to look for Batman, and some of the indications is that either Lex or the government has basically convinced Superman that Batman is an evildoer of some sort.
Isn't that how it started? Isn't that how it started? I know
no,
in
in
some of the cartoons it didn't, but I
Yeah,
thought like in
well,
the
Dark
comic
Knight
books it
Returns
did.
was Superman was working for the government at that point in the comic book. But this one, it looks like, from all indication, it looks like Lex is going to try and manipulate Superman as much as he can, which is what Lex does anyway.
I'm just hoping the fights aren't cartoon level where he could kind of tussle with Superman. No, I want it to be Thor style. He just knocks the crap out of you, and you have no chance at all when it comes down to superpower.
I think he will never touch Lex. He will never be able to touch Lex because Lex is probably going to work his way so that the other people who did it, just people around where
Lex has got to catch a Superman punch.
Oh God, no! Lex would be dead.
He's got to catch one, even if it's in the suit. He flies.
Yeah, this is where intelligent writing has to come in, right?
Yeah, if he catches the punch, he's toast completely. Moving on, do we have an image of the Deadpool suit?
No,
We certainly do.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that is the first official image of Deadpool, according to Ryan Reynolds. And you can see Deadpool posing. They're very classic Deadpool pose.
Pretty sexy, right?
Yeah. So, and the movie's coming out in February next year, 2016. So, just any thoughts? Even though this image to me looks like it's not actually him, or it's just more of like a digital rendition. I don't know if.
Well, I mean, for the actual film, isn't most of Deadpool going to be CG anyway?
No,
I mean that looks like the stunt guy. That looks like the stunt guy that's doing the actual stuff.
No, but that's what I mean. Is like, he's gonna have all these really crazy, outlandish stunts and stuff, and a lot of the action stuff is probably gonna be CG rendered anyway. So we're probably looking at.
But showcasing the suit though, you don't have to do it in CG.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Moving on next, there will be a new Star Trek TV show. Since Star Trek franchise is looking to do what every franchise do, expand the universe. And it looks like they're working on a new show. No idea exactly where the show will take place in terms of world, whether it's going to be. Sorry.
Rumors seem to be the original Trek timeline. Here, I'm gonna kill Deadpool here. The two rumors that I've read, and I mean, correct me if you've seen anything different. The two rumors that I've read seem to be either it's going to be the original Trek timeline after the time period of the Next Generation, where the Federation is starting to fall apart under the weight of its own bureaucracy, or it's going to be a new Trek, J.J. Abrams' new Trek timeline, sort of following the Federation's adventures after the Star Trek films have taken place.
I would like to see the latter of that happen, where they just kind of keep into that new universe and allow the TV shows to link up with it, because that's essentially what the original series kind of did as well too. In some ways, the TV actors linked up with the movies, and it created a nice continuity between all of them, and some of those stories carried on into the regular TV show. So I would hope they would do the latter of that, and just like, hey, here's the movie, here's a TV show that follows everything that's happening just before another movie comes out, you know?
Yeah.
That pushes a new set of storylines to last like 2 or 3 seasons, and they can kind of keep doing that. That'd be interesting.
And there's also...
I'd rather see other ships from the fleet. You know, they're it's Starfleet. You know, it's not Starship Enterprise. You know, it's Starfleet.
Well, if they're starting from this era, essentially, that's really the only starship around. Outside of like the one they showed in Nemesis.
No, they have multiple starships. It's called Starfleet for Christ's sake.
I know. I'm just saying they do, but I think where they're starting is I don't think they have that many yet. Because like the Enterprise was a pretty big deal when they built that. I think, wasn't it? If I remember correctly, I'm not very familiar with the.
I think the Enterprise was their deep space exploration, but they already had ships before that.
I know they had ships, but they didn't have. Did they have ships that size though? At that point in time.
No, I don't think they had that size, but it doesn't have to be that size.
Because the whole thing they weren't weaponized until later.
We built a show around Voyager. I mean, we could explore others, and there were also those rumors that we might see some kind of Captain Worf show. That was being pitched and that was being shopped, and that could be another way that they sort of reinforce
more like the Defiant.
You know, I mean, there's room for a couple Star Trek entries here, and that's what's so funny about this rumor right now. I mean, not rumor, that the story right now is that Trek's sphere of influence is so large.
Yeah, it is.
That there are a couple avenues that this property could take.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Lulu just chimed in here. Live action Star Wars TV show coming after Episode 9. This has been coming for a while, but I think with Disney in the helm, you know it's going to come.
Yeah.
There's going to be Star Wars everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. Now, it would just be interesting after the movies what kind of story path they're going to take for those shows. Whether it's going to be in between or just continuing from where the movies are in a specific direction. As long as for me at least personally, as long as it's a little bit more action driven on the TV shows, and then you can build out more story elements in the movies, I'm fine with that. Just because Star Wars is not Star Trek, where you can expand on stories, on the TV shows with Star Trek or Star Wars. You have certain elements with Sith, Jedi, and then a few bounty hunters left and right.
I kind of think a Boba Fett TV show would be really cool.
That's true.
I mean, you're right that the Star Wars universe doesn't really seem as expansive when you're talking about what kind of parallel storyline you can come up with, but you could do like a really great season ender showdown between Boba Fett and IG-88. I mean, like there's potential in there for a couple of those characters to front or helm their own properties.
True. Okay, moving on quickly. Sony is looking to, like I said, everybody is looking to make universes from different properties. So Sony is looking to make Robotech movies in an expanded Robotech universe. Any thoughts on that? Robotech, of course, is an old anime back in the 80s, mid-80s?
Yeah, it's mid-80s.
Yeah.
Came on Cartoon Network for a little while in the 90s too. during
Yeah.
Tsunami.
So,
During
so
Tsunami,
thoughts on Robotech.
I wish I remembered it.
It wasn't.
That's another thing. Yeah.
I wish I remembered it.
It
looked.
wasn't a show I was super into.
I think I looked at it. It looks like Gundam, and just kind of wanted about my business. I really didn't put much into it. It's like it's Gundam. I don't. Is it Voltron? I don't know. I'm gonna go watch Power
I think
Rangers.
Robotech was before the Gundam.
It might have been. It might have been. But interesting, nonetheless. If they're gonna bring something else, Sony's got to do something. So
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
and following that chain of universes, Transformers is looking to spin off and create more Transformers.
Tries to become Marvel-style cinematic universe. Don't.
Yeah, everybody wants to make a
I don't really care about Transformers, so I have like no opinion on this.
So I love Transformers, and I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can do this well, and I think the performance we've seen from the last couple Transformers movies are sort of indicative of what our tolerance for multiple iterations of a Transformers storyline are. You know, I think this is a franchise that you need to be a little bit more measured. You can't have every other year, now Optimus is going to die, and no, Megatron's back from the dead, and now it's Galvatron. I mean, you can't keep doing that every other year and expect us to still think that this is as cool as the first time we saw Optimus Prime transform.
Surprised they haven't used that Beast Wars thing yet, whatever that was. They used to
know,
put it all the time.
Please stay away from Beast Wars. Just stay away from Beast Wars.
I mean, it was sort of charming for what it was.
Optimus Primal was good.
All right.
Optimus Primal was good.
Warren, do you have the image of? Do you have the image of the cast of the X-Men movie?
You mean this image of the cast of X-Men?
Yeah, I don't think you're casted, Juan.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's on you right now, so I'm like, I don't know what cast.
Right, here we go.
So this is cast. I do not know anyone's name here other than Sansa Stark, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Not Sansa. Yeah, Sansa Stark.
Sansa Stark.
She to me looks like a very good cast for Jean Grey, young Jean.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Cyclops looks like a punk. What else?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Aurora Monroe. Yes.
Will you hold your horses there?
Don't make it weird, man. Don't make it creepy. Don't go creeper.
No. I agree
I don't know
with
about
the
the Storm
choice they've made with
casting.
Aurora Monroe. I can see
Okay.
her playing a very good
Yes,
role.
yeah, on the merits of her talent, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No. Seriously,
She has some shoes. She has some shoes to fill. Yeah,
No, wait a minute.
If you
Go
go
with
with
a younger
Israel.
cast.
No. Halle Berry did a terrible job as Storm, so she probably.
It's Halle Berry. Shut up.
No.
It's Halle Berry.
Somebody went on a Halle Berry smash.
Halle Berry. This is certain.
Yo, that was like Warren said, "That is my wife. You better close your mouth and not beat me down."
Listen, she played Catwoman and it was terrible, but it's still Halle Berry. It don't change
Oh God,
nothing.
don't mention that. Everyone deserves a Razzie.
But wait a minute. Wait. I've never seen this look of Jubilee before. She actually looks like cool.
That's the original Jubilee.
That
No,
is?
that's not the original. That's not the original anime.
Is this the one that shows up when she's like running with
No,
X
isn't
with
the original animated
Wolverine?
version of Jubilee like an '80s character with the glasses and everything? That's it, right?
No, that's the '90s Jubilee.
No. I see. Yeah,
That
but
was-
that's not the original artwork. I mean, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
That's what-
Oh no, yeah, it is not the original artwork, but it's kind of the same.
If she comes out looking like this, that's gonna be pretty cool if they can make her look like this in the movies.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
would be
cool
kinda
look.
No.
Because I always thought Jubilee was a cool character. She just looked silly in the 90s
I
cartoon.
didn't like Jubilee at all. I mean, she just annoyed me, just throwing out firecrackers. Yeah,
But the thing was, in the comic books, her powers are way more expansive than what it was in the '90s cartoon. But she was supposed to just be the little teenage tie-in to the rest of them. It was supposed to get kids to watch by relating to a character that was close to her age, and that's why Jubilee was kind of done that way.
How about that Cyclops though? He kind of really just
no.
Think about it. He looks like a pretty like straight-laced kind of guy.
No. See, the guy from Kingsman was the other guy running that role.
I don't see him as Cyclops. He seems too erratic to be Cyclops.
But I'm looking at this.
Too erratic.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this old cast right now, and I'm thinking the standout guy is going to be the person playing Nightcrawler, because that guy looks like he's going to be Nightcrawler, and he looks like he's going to play. He's going to play just as good as the other guy did.
That's
as
exactly what I was gonna say.
I think he's going to kill the role. And
Yeah,
I mean, the star of this is clearly Sansa Stark. Let's just put
Sansa
that
Stark.
out there.
That's pretty much it.
Let's just put it that way. She's the
Yeah.
star of this, and she's going to have her role, and she's going to be where she's going to be for as
And
long
we
as
all
they want
know
to do
that the
that.
same person is going to be playing Wolverine. I'm just joking. I'm kidding.
Isn't Hugh
Oh
Jackman
yeah,
still
that's
playing
right. That's true. Yeah, what a perk.
Isn't Hugh Jackman still playing Wolverine?
Yeah, always.
Well,
He says
they
he's gonna
could,
play Wolverine until he dies.
well, the
As
thing is,
long as he can still stay in shape, man, I say keep giving it to him.
if they were smart, they could do it based on the recent cartoon that came out and age Storm a little bit higher, and then it matches that show. And that was actually a pretty good show.
No, this is going with whatever Bryan Singer wants to do.
Which means useless. Anyways, let's move on. It's useless.
Exactly. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it on the entertainment side of things. Anything else
Okay.
with it?
The girl that's casted as Jubilee is named Lana Condor.
Okay.
That's what her name is.
All right. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for sharing all the images. Appreciated that. So yeah, that's that. Thank you very much, guys. We run over by 13 minutes. Apologize for that, but we had a lot of stuff to cover. Quickly, guys, what can we expect from you coming up next week? We'll start with Juan because he's been missing for 2 weeks anyway.
Well, really the last 2 weeks we're getting some reviews out, getting some tutorials out. I've got some fun stuff up on the channel. I just started playing with Periscope, and I need help from my followers and community as to what my first live broadcast should be. But the other thing I want to throw out there is I just started up, literally yesterday, Google Plus community focused on 3D and interactive video content. So especially with YouTube's new 360 degree wraparound video, playing with cameras like this little Kodak SP360 so that you can get out there and shoot immersive content. I've started up a little community for people to share photospheres, to share bubble cam and the new Ricoh Theta, so 360 degree or panoramic video. And so I hope you guys will check it out. You can find me on Google Plus pretty easily, and I can kind of point you in the right direction there. And if anyone wants to participate, or I'm also looking for people to kind of also help moderate that little community. I think we've got 9 participants on the community right now, but I think this is going to be a really this is going to be another one of those sort of new video features that I think will be a really interesting way for consumers to create their own content. When you can go somewhere, take one little picture, share that picture, and then everyone can see everything around you, or pop it into a VR headset and actually look around and like, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower, and I can see everything else. I think it's going to be really disruptive for how we produce content online.
All right, cool. How about you, Warren?
Stuff.
He's going to join me on my 360 degree panoramic video.
All right,
That's what he's going to be doing.
It's stuff from Warren. It's a 360 video. All right. How about you, Sam?
I had to get that 3D video out. It's actually it's the and when I say 3D, I mean the 3D printers. It's the Ultimaker 2. It's an amazing, really amazing device. Really, it kind of opens you up to thinking about exactly what is where will we eventually go to. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be having what's called replicators make us food or replicators make us things, but it's very interesting to see how you can use a 3D printer to make everyday around the house objects. So I basically, I haven't put a video out there, but I just tried the whole idea that, if someone was coming over and needed to play a game of chess, so I decided to print 3 chess pieces off the bat. And yeah, it took about 3-4 hours, but they're viable chess pieces. I could use them to play a game of chess. And I didn't have to go out and buy these chess pieces or order them from Amazon. I actually just made them at home. So
now, the amount of time it took to make a chess set, though, could you have ordered it from Amazon and gotten it there faster?
No, it's only 3 hours it took. So
okay, so that's great.
Yeah, so it took 3 hours to make 3 of them. So I guess the whole chess set might take a day. By that time, maybe Amazon takes 2-day shipping. You already have your chess set. But it's more important if you think about it this way. I lost a chess set, a chess piece, and I want to play a game of chess.
Right.
Print it up and you're done. It's a really amazing product if you think about it. So yeah, I have to get that So I'm doing that. I got to put together the video and have that out.
Right, so eventually Sam will share that with us. That's great. Quickly, Leroy said we forgot to mention that Idris Elba is rumored to be cast as the villain in the third Star Trek movie.
I'm amazed that you pulled that out because he misspelled Idris Elba in a way that I have no idea who he's talking
That
about.
means the enemies are Klingons. That just gave away who the bad guys were.
Yeah,
Hopefully come back with a better version of Klingons.
You could bring some racial diversity to Romulans. This is new Trek. All bets are off.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with that.
I mean, we've seen what was it there's the Romulans and the Raymonds? What is Romulus and Ramus?
Yeah,
There's a
Romulus
whole
and
other
Ramus.
subspecies of Romulans that were all like monster
Yeah.
affected in Star Trek Nemesis. I mean, there's
Nemesis,
plenty of
yeah.
room to work into Trek a black Romulan. Why not? Do
If
it.
he did the show,
You have black Vulcans. You have Tuvok. You could do black.
Yes, Tuvok.
Totally
Yeah,
do
Tuvok,
black Romulans.
Vulcans are rarely villains, and they plan.
No. That's what I mean. Is like if you have black Vulcans, you can do black Romulans. Done.
Sure.
I've decided.
All right.
This country will not. This will not be accepted as
One.
Klingon isn't black.
Not stand.
But it does make sense to have a Romulan who's basically just about to just go apeshit. It makes sense.
Well,
Because at the end of the day-
it's too late because the first movie the villain was from Romulan. So
Yeah, but that's true.
anyway, on our side, we will be doing an upgrade to our master build. We just got the PCIe SSD, and also getting a new graphics card next week. So that computer is moving on to second beast mode of just intensity.
The transform, evolve.
Yeah, we'll definitely share that with you guys because some of the speeds I've seen from the PCI SSD are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to do some gaming on that and see how that is. Stay tuned. Monday we'll have some videos for you. Can't tell you what it is. Just early Monday morning, around 8 o'clock in the morning. Stay tuned for that. Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. So thank you very much, guys, for watching the show. Appreciate all the questions and comments. Don't forget to check out everyone's channel. Starting off with Mr. Juan Bagnell, who's finally back. With his all red attire gear at Somegadgetguy.com. Check out the website. Follow him on social media, Somegadgetguy, or Mr. Juan Bagnell on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram. And next up is Mr. Warren Bowman at BWone.com. You can check him out at BWone.com, the website, as well as his social media outlets on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is BWone.com, except Instagram, it is the real Bowman. You can follow him there. I think I got that right?
Yep.
Yes. Sweet. And you can follow us at Booredatwork.com and also follow Mr. Black Iron _man, who it's his birthday today. So therefore, he decided to not give us a lower third because he's feeling too cool.
I just realized I didn't do that.
Just realized that no one knew who you were for this whole podcast.
No one knew who I was this whole time. That's crazy.
So that's his handle on Twitter as well as Instagram, and you can follow Booredatwork. All our social networks, it's all Booredatwork. YouTube, Twitter, the website is also Booredatwork. So thank you very much, guys, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.
Good luck.